Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of our first time buyer market update for Southern California. My name is Stephen Meade. I'm the managing broker here at Domicile Real Estate. I'm actually recording on location. I'm in Indian Wells for a realtor conference, which is fun. It's about 75 degrees out here and beautiful, but I didn't want to stop the flow of these updates because this one in particular, I think is important. And, you know, one of the reasons we do these updates every 2 weeks, right? We do our first time buyer update every 2 weeks, and we do our regular whole market update every 2 weeks is because our market moves very quickly. And this is a perfect example. So last week, if you watched our videos, you noticed it was a whole market update, and it really felt like the market turned. Now we have another week of data under our belts, and we're looking just at that entry level into the market. And I think that market has turned as well. But it's not all bad news if you are a first time buyer. So let's go ahead and we're going to dive into this. And I'm going to kind of show you what we're seeing on our end and kind of what it feels like in the marketplace. So the first thing is our closed prices, right? And as I am fond of saying every single time, these are based on where the market was 4 to 6 weeks ago. And the market was not great 4 to 6 weeks ago. And as you can see, our entry level single family home dipped down to 695. You'll notice it's kind of been trending in that right around $700,000 zone, had a little bit of a bump up. I actually think our market is stronger than this. If you look down here for our entry level condos, it's very similar, right? You see prices kind of declined into this low fives and they've kind of been sitting there. I actually think the prices are heading back upward. If you're on the street, remember this data is 4 to 6 weeks old because it is based on closings. I think the feeling on the street is that prices have actually gone up in the last couple of weeks. Okay, so that's the price news. If we look at our total monthly payment, remember this combines kind of where interest rates are. We're just over $5,200 here on our entry level single family home. And this is the reason why I say that things may not be all bad for you. Let's look at really where that is. Yes, would we all like to go back to the prices at the beginning of last year when they were $4,179, $4,400, $4,500? Yes, of course we'd all like to go back to that. But the reality is at $5,245, we're actually better than we were at a lot of points last year. So if you're thinking like you should have bought 2-3 months ago, the reality is your situation from a payment perspective is really not that much different. The market's actually been fairly steady in that respect. And if you look here, we're actually at a low point. At one point, it was a $6,200 to get into that entry level property. Really the same story here for our entry level condos as well. Always as a fun exercise, we look at what is the minimum household income required to buy one of these properties with 5% down if you don't have any other debts. In our entry-level single-family home, we are here right at $128,000 of household income and right at about $102,000 of household income for our entry-level condo. This, though, is the graph that really tells us about kind of maybe some of the storm clouds on the horizon if you're a first-time buyer. By storm clouds, I mean less availability and higher prices, a more difficult market to buy a home in. And look at what's happened to our absorption rate. And there always is a little bit of this yo-yo effect around the holidays, right? Like buyers keep buying, but there's no new listings. Then the absorption rate goes way down as all these new listings hit the market. But what's happened is this has bounced back up, and I don't think it's going to settle back to this levels that we saw last year. Look at where we were last October. 68%, 73%. This was a market that was fairly well in balance between buyers and sellers, but here we are, 89% on our entry-level condo, 101% on our entry-level single-family homes. What does this actually mean? Well, when that number is over 100%, it means that if 100 homes came on the market in the last 2 weeks, 101 homes went into escrow in that category. It means we are actually burning the wick and the supply of homes is going down. Which brings us to our next chart, total inventory. And really, this will tell you kind of the story of the last year in our market, right? Where were we at the beginning of last year? Pretty much zero inventory. So the good news, if you're a buyer out there, is we still have more inventory than we had last year. You are better off than you were a year ago in terms of number of properties to choose from. Now, the bad news is, look at where we were kind of late summer and into the fall. Really a great equity position with lots of choice. The other thing that concerns me is look at what's happening here. We've got both our entry-level single-family home here in the red, as well as our entry-level condo are showing significant declines in inventory. We're heading into spring. This is when inventory is supposed to start going up, right? Or at least be pretty flat. And I think we're seeing some of that inventory getting eaten into, which to me says that this is a competitive market, a market that is getting more competitive for buyers. Now, if we go here to our 14-day still active percentage, this says of all the homes that came on the market in the last 14 days, how many still have an active status? As you can see, back in the spring, we were below 70%. Then this number rose kind of throughout the spring and summer. But look at the trend here. These are pretty steep declines heading back under 80%. I think this trend is going to continue. And then this is the one that I think says, if I could pick one slide this week that I wanted to focus on, it would be this one. This is relative inventory. So our total inventory, this is static inventory, meaning just how many houses are there on the market. Relative inventory, though, tells you how many houses do we have based on the rate at which people are buying houses, right? So it gives some context to that number of houses. So this is reported in weeks of inventory. And look at where we are and look at the shape of these graphs. 7.3 weeks for condos and under 6 weeks of inventory for entry-level single-family homes. The last time we were under 6 weeks of inventory was back in June of last year. Do you remember what the market felt like in June of last year? It did not, it wasn't maybe as bad as it was in February of last year, but it was certainly a very constricted market. And that is the direction that we are heading if you look at these weeks of inventory. Not a long update this week, but if you are a person who's been sitting on the fence, right? You've been thinking, I'm waiting for whatever is the right time to be a buyer. I'd say if you wait much longer, you really run the risk of deteriorated options and perhaps higher prices that I think might be coming. When we see inventory get constricted like this, there's really only one place for things to go, and that is for prices to begin to accelerate upward. Now, the other big question on this is interest rates. I can't predict interest rates. If anyone is telling you they can predict interest rates, they are most likely wrong. And if they appear to be right, it's more that they are lucky. If interest rates stay around where they are, we will see price increases. There just are too many people out there looking for houses, and we have very little inventory because we didn't ever really build up that much. And the rate of new homes coming on the market has slowed tremendously. That really is driving this inventory crisis more than anything, is a lack of new listings coming onto the market. Anyhow, if you are looking to buy a home, or you know someone who should be looking to buy a home, by the way, that's almost everybody in California, if they're not homeowners, we're Domicile Real Estate. We are on a mission to help California's renters become homeowners. We would love to chat and lend you our expertise if you are in the Southern California, namely Los Angeles and Orange County areas. Do not forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. And questions, comments, we love them. And we'll see you again real soon.